cross-elasticity of demand. This is the degree of responsiveness of demand for a commodity due to change in the price of its substitute. For example, if the price of tea increases, it will lead to a decrease in demand for tea and an increase in demand for coffee. Suppose when you try to cross-check on this kind of graph over here, you'll observe that on the left-hand side we have the price of coffee, but also to the x-axis we have the quantity of coffee. So we have the price of tea and the quantity of coffee. So the graph actually shows the positive relationship since when the price of tea increases, normal consumers switches to coffee because the price of coffee is low. So there is different reasons that makes consumers to diverge or to switch off to different quantity of commodities. So when the consumer shift to another commodity, there will be a decrease in the quantity demanded of a certain good, and there will be an increase in the quantity demanded of another good. So the graph above of the cross-elasticity of demand can be presented as follows. Let's assume we have the left-hand side graph and we have the right-hand side graph. Now, suppose the left-hand side graph represents out the quantity of tea, and the right-hand side represents out the quantity of coffee. So this means that whenever there is an increase in price, of tea from P1 to P2, actually this leads to the shift to the decrease in quantity demand of a tea, and the actual consumers think to switch off to quantity of coffee, whereby the quantity of coffee is constant at P1. So whenever the price of coffee is constant, now consumers will increase demand on a particular commodity of that is of coffee than of tea. So the graph will show out the shift of the equilibrium to the new equilibrium E. So the quantity demanded will increase from Q1 to Q2. So there are different reasons that make a consumer to switch off to another commodity. It may be the price of a certain commodity that is higher. It may be the preference of a consumer. It could be the quality of a good that makes the consumer to switch off to another commodity. So the cross-elasticity of demand can be expressed by either the percentage method or what is known as the formula method. So let's look on what percentage method expressed. Cross-elasticity of demand is found under the percentage method by taking out the percentage change in quantity of a given quantity X. So normally take out the percentage change in quantity demanded of commodity Y over the percentage change in the price level of commodity X. So this is the formula under what is known as the percentage method. When you calculate the cross-elasticity of demand, we take the percentage change in quantity demanded of commodity Y divided by the percentage change in price of commodity X. So let's describe on under what is known as the formula method on how we can calculate the cross elasticity of demand. So under formula method is where we take out the cross elasticity of demand, that is given by taking the percentage change in quantity demanded of commodity Y divided by the percentage change in price of commodity X. So we normally take the change of quantity demanded of Y over the change of price of X times the base year price of commodity X divided by the base year quantity of commodity Y. So the change of quantity demanded of commodity Y, that is change of QDY, is a change in quantity demanded for commodity Y. And the change of PX, this means that the change in price of commodity X. And the QOY represent out the original or the base year quantity of commodity Y. The original quantity of commodity Y is represented by QOY. Now, after understanding the formula and the formula method, it will be better now we go through on how we can find the cross elasticity of demand under given informations or data sets. So here is the example on how we can calculate the cross elasticity of demand. Let's assume now from this example over here from this example we are required to calculate the cross elasticity of demand given the following information. So when the price of tea is 4 Tanzanian shillings and the demand is 10 units, but also when the price of tea increases to 8 Tanzanian shillings, the demand for coffee increases to 20 units. Solution now, since we have the data given, we have the current quantity of commodity Y, that is 20, and we have the original price, the base year price of commodity X is 4, and we have the QO, the base year quantity of commodity Y is 10, and we have the current price of commodity X, that is 8. So from the cross elasticity of demand is given by taking the change of quantity demanded of coffee, that is commodity Y, over the change of price of tea, that is commodity X, times the base year price of tea over the base year quantity of coffee. So the cross elasticity of demand will be equals to current quantity demanded of commodity X minus the base year quantity of commodity Y over divided by Pn, that is the current price minus the base year price, then times the base year price over the quantity of commodity of the base year quantity, that is QO. So from that case now, remember the PO is the base year price of commodity Y, of commodity X, and the QO is the base year quantity of commodity Y. So when you plug in, it will be 20 minus 10 divided by 8 minus 4 times 4 over 10. That will give you 10 over 4 times 4 over 10. So the cross elasticity of demand will be equals to 10 over 4 times 4 over 10. That will give you 40 over 40. So when you divide 40 by 40, the cross elasticity of demand is equal to 1. So the cross elasticity of demand is 1. So we actually term it as a unital elastic demand. So that is how we calculate the cross elasticity of demand. So maybe something to note, something to take note under what is known as the cross elasticity of demand is that the cross elasticity of demand for substitutes is always positive because the cross elasticity of demand for substitute is always positive because an increase in the price of one commodity which has a close substitute leads to an increase in the demand for its substitute. So something that we should not forget is that the cross elasticity of demand for substitute is always positive because an increase in price of one commodity which has a cross substitute now lead to an increase in demand for its substitutes. So in our example above, since an increase in the price of tea led to an increase in the demand for coffee, and because consumers tend to substitute one commodity with another commodity, so when the price of one of the substitute changes, however, now the cross elasticity of demand for complements like sugar and tea leaf is negative because a change in the price of one of the complements now results into an opposite change of quantity demanded for its complements. So when the price of sugar increases, consumers will buy less sugar, hence now the demand for tea leaves will decrease, and therefore the cross elasticity of demand will be negative. So the cross elasticity of demand for substitutes oil is positive because an increase in the price of one commodity which has a cross substitute leads to an increase in demand for its substitutes.